My mother became physically aggressive. My mom always told me nobody would believe me. I was fully isolated from everybody.
Kate Gosselin's time in the spotlight has been filled with drama, control, and controversy.
Jon and Kate Gosselin have ended. The stars of the reality show, Jon and Kate Plus 8, finally broke their silence.
Once a beloved reality TV matriarch, her name is now synonymous with things far more unsettling: estrangement, isolation, and the lasting consequences of past decisions.
I had decided I just need relief now, and I need to turn the page.
The world has been watching, waiting, and now it appears the final verdict is in. Her sentence is final. Goodbye forever. Is this the ultimate fall from grace, or was it an inevitable outcome? The answer lies in the shattered family bonds, public scrutiny, and an undeniable sense that this chapter in Kate Gosselin's life is closing for good. Kate Gosselin, the reality TV matriarch. Kate Gosselin rose to fame in 2007 when Jon and Kate Plus 8 captivated audiences. A mother of 8, her no-nonsense attitude and regimented parenting approach became the show's hallmark. Viewers were drawn to the organized chaos of raising sextuplets alongside twin daughters, but beneath the polished TV exterior, cracks were forming. What seemed like a fascinating glimpse into a unique family dynamic was, in reality, a high-pressure environment shaped by rigid control and a relentless pursuit of order. The success of Jon and Kate Plus 8 turned Kate into a household name, propelling her into a level of fame few reality stars achieve. While the premise of the show was about family, it quickly became apparent that Kate herself was the real focus. She was the driving force of the household, often portrayed as the authoritative figure keeping everything from spiraling out of control. This persona won her both admiration and criticism. Some saw her as a strong mother doing her best in an extraordinary situation, while others saw a woman who thrived on dominance, dictating every aspect of life within her home. Her meticulous nature made for compelling television, but it also raised concerns. Former crew members have suggested that Kate's obsession with order extended beyond what was necessary for raising a large family. Reports surfaced that she ran the household like a military operation, demanding perfection from her children, even when the cameras weren't rolling. Whether or not these claims were exaggerated, the public perception of Kate began to shift from an overwhelmed but devoted mother to a figure of calculated control. Her divorce from her husband, Jon Gosselin, in 2009 marked the first public unraveling of her carefully controlled image. Their separation played out under intense media scrutiny, with accusations flying from both sides. Jon claimed Kate was obsessed with fame and willing to put television ratings above the well-being of their family. Kate, in turn, portrayed Jon as irresponsible, insisting she was the only stable parent in the equation. Infidelity rumors marred them both, and soon it was difficult to get a real sense of what was going on. The media took sides, but what remained undeniable was that the family was fractured, and the carefully curated image of the Gosselin household was beginning to break apart. In the years that followed, Kate attempted to maintain her place in the public eye, starring in spin-off shows and appearing on reality competitions. However, her reputation never fully recovered. Allegations of mistreatment, power struggles, and strained relationships followed her for years. While Kate tried to maintain her narrative of being a strong, independent mother, the stories coming from within her own family told a different tale. A history of control and criticism. Kate's parenting methods have long been scrutinized. While some saw her as a tough but loving mother, others saw a woman obsessed with control. Reports of harsh disciplinary tactics and an iron-fisted household routine made headlines. Former nannies, show staff, and even her ex-husband voiced concerns over her behavior behind closed doors. What appeared on television as firm but necessary discipline was, according to some insiders, an environment where perfection was demanded and dissent was not tolerated. Kate's need for order extended beyond what most would consider reasonable parenting. Accounts from those who spent time in the Gosselin household suggest a mother who was not just strict but unyielding, enforcing rules that left little room for flexibility. Those who worked with her on Jon and Kate Plus 8 recalled instances where her temper flared over minor infractions, with the children allegedly expected to conform to her expectations without question. Reports surfaced of her using isolation as a form of punishment, sometimes forcing her children to sit alone for hours as a way to maintain control. While discipline is a necessary part of raising children, the severity of these alleged actions cast doubt on whether Kate's approach was about parenting or power. Her strict demeanor made for compelling TV, but led to whispers of emotional distance. The same authority that made her appear in control on screen also made her seem detached, unable to provide the warmth and affection many expected from a mother of 8. The regimented lifestyle she imposed, down to mealtimes, play schedules, and strict bedtime routines, left little room for spontaneity or genuine connection. Viewers who initially admired her ability to manage a chaotic household began to wonder whether there was something unnatural about the way she ruled over her children's lives. Over the years, these whispers turned into loud accusations, especially as her children grew old enough to speak for themselves. What was once excused as tough love began to look more like alienation. The most damning accounts came from her son Colin, who described feeling abandoned by his mother, and her daughter Hannah, who chose to leave her care entirely. With these revelations, Kate's image as a strong single mother fighting to raise her children the best way she knew how slowly crumbled. Instead, a different picture emerged, one of a woman who may have lost sight of what it means to be a mother in her pursuit of absolute control. The children speak out. When the children finally reached an age where they could speak up for themselves, the world was keen to hear what life inside the Gosselin family was really like. By this point, there was no avoiding the rumors and the accusations. But only the children knew the real story. The most vocal among them were Colin and Hannah, 2 of her children who chose to live with their father, Jon. Their decision to leave their mother's home was not just a matter of preference, but a stark statement about what life was like under her care. For years, Kate presented herself as the sole provider and protector of her 8 children, but the accounts from Colin and Hannah painted a different reality, one where control overshadowed care and where love was conditional. Colin, in particular, has shared disturbing accounts of his time under Kate's care. He has claimed he was institutionalized against his will, sent away to a behavioral facility without warning or explanation. According to him, his mother abandoned him there, cutting off nearly all contact. The justification from Kate was that Colin had special needs and required professional help, but Jon has repeatedly challenged this narrative, arguing that Colin was simply a strong-willed child who refused to conform to Kate's rigid expectations. Colin himself has insisted that there was nothing wrong with him that warranted such extreme measures, and his absence from the family for years created a divide that could never fully be repaired. Hannah, too, has sided with her father, suggesting Kate's household was not the loving environment it appeared to be. Unlike Colin, she was not sent away, but instead made the deliberate choice to leave. Her decision to move in with Jon was seen as an act of defiance against her mother, a bold move that only underscored the growing fractures within the family. Hannah has remained relatively quiet compared to Colin, but her presence alongside Jon in interviews and public outings speaks volumes. She has described her life with her father as one of freedom and support, 2 things she felt were lacking in Kate's home. The remaining siblings have largely stayed silent, but their absence from Kate's social media and public life has not gone unnoticed. While 4 of the sextuplets, Aiden, Alexis, Joel, and Leah, still reportedly live with Kate, they have not publicly defended their mother, nor spoken against their estranged siblings. The twins, Maddie and Kara, have remained distant from the controversy, but have made statements in the past that seem to support their mother's version of events. However, their refusal to acknowledge Colin or even mention him in interviews suggests that the rift within the Gosselin family is deep and possibly irreparable. The division among the siblings is one of the most tragic outcomes of Kate's choices. Once a family bound together by an extraordinary experience, they are now separated, not just by physical distance, but by emotional scars. The silence from some and the outspokenness of others make one thing clear. Kate's sentence is final, and the consequences are etched in the fractured relationships between her own children. 3 minutes ago, a breaking revelation. The latest development in the Gosselin saga arrived just 3 minutes ago, another crack in the foundation of Kate's carefully managed public persona. A resurfaced report has reignited discussions about her role as a mother, with more details emerging from those once close to her. The latest revelations have only strengthened the claims that have followed her for years. Accusations of control, alienation, and an unwillingness to reflect on the damage done. This breaking news has brought renewed attention to the stories of Colin and Hannah, but also to the silence of the other Gosselin children. Speculation continues to mount over why the siblings remain divided, and whether there is more to their estrangement than what has been made public. Insiders suggest that Kate's strict control over the family dynamic didn't stop when the cameras turned off. Instead, it may have intensified, leading to deep-seated divisions among the siblings that now seem beyond repair. Sources close to the situation have hinted that Kate's approach to parenting went beyond discipline. It may have been an unyielding demand for loyalty, leaving no room for dissenting voices. The resurfaced report, though not entirely new, reinforces what many already suspected. Kate's approach to parenting may have pushed her children further away than she ever anticipated. While she has maintained her silence on recent claims, the damage appears irreversible. Her public appearances have dwindled, and even her once active presence on social media has become sporadic, as if she is retreating from the storm.
Nobody wants their family to be torn apart.
Despite the mounting backlash, Kate has remained steadfast in her version of events. She has never wavered from the belief that she did what was necessary to raise her children under extraordinary circumstances. In past interviews, she has dismissed accusations against her as exaggerations or outright fabrications, insisting that the criticism comes from those who fail to understand the challenges of raising 8 children in the public eye. However, the weight of these latest reports makes it harder to ignore the voices of those who lived under her roof. The question now is whether Kate will ever break her silence and address these renewed allegations, or if she will continue to let her actions speak for her. Some believe she will attempt to make a comeback, a return to reality television or media appearances to reclaim her narrative. Others suspect she has already said her final goodbye, retreating from the scrutiny that has followed her for nearly 2 decades. Either way, the revelations of the past and the voices of her children have already cast their verdict.
Nobody wants their family to be torn apart.
For Kate Gosselin, the sentence is final. Goodbye forever. The sentence is final. No way back. The weight of past decisions is catching up to Kate Gosselin. Public perception has shifted from admiration to concern, and now to judgment. Once hailed as a determined mother navigating an unimaginable challenge, she is now seen as a figure whose control may have come at a devastating cost. Time has not softened the allegations, nor has it mended the fractured relationships within the Gosselin family. Colin's accusations of mistreatment and abandonment.
My mother became physically aggressive. Multiple times she had zip-tied my hands and feet together.
Hannah's decision to leave, and the eerie silence of the remaining siblings all paint a picture of irreversible separation. Estrangement is not an easy word to shake, and for Kate, it may be an inescapable reality. The absence of reconciliation, the lack of warmth in any public interactions, and the fact that her own children seem divided between loyalty and distance suggest a family torn apart at its foundation. While some public figures have managed to redeem themselves after family rifts or scandals, Kate's case is different. She has remained steadfast in her own narrative, rarely expressing regret or acknowledging the perspectives of her estranged children. Even in past interviews, when asked about Colin and Hannah's departure from her home, her responses lacked the introspection that might have signaled a desire for reconciliation. Instead, she has often doubled down, portraying herself as a mother who made difficult choices, but always acted in her children's best interests. Yet, as the years pass, that claim becomes harder to defend when those very children are the ones refuting it.
Are you trying to say your mother was abusive to you? Is that?
Well, yeah, that's kind of the reason why she sent me away, but...
The bridges that burned between her and some of her kids may never be rebuilt. Too much time has passed, too many wounds have deepened, and too many unanswered questions linger. While some fans may still sympathize with Kate, believing that parenting 8 children under intense media scrutiny was an impossible task, the broader sentiment has shifted. The overwhelming silence from her once devoted followers, the lack of industry support, and the media's shifting portrayal of her all suggest that the public has reached its own verdict. Her sentence is final, not in a courtroom, but in the court of public opinion and family bonds. The consequences of her decisions are no longer just rumors or speculation. They are written in the lives of her children, in the relationships lost, and in the fractured family that may never fully heal. The world has moved on, and so, it seems, have the children who once lived under her rule. For Kate Gosselin, there is no way back. Goodbye forever. What comes next? With her television career in decline and her relationships fractured, Kate Gosselin's future looks uncertain. The woman who once dominated reality TV headlines has largely faded from view, no longer the household name she was at the peak of Jon and Kate Plus 8. Her attempts to remain relevant, whether through reality competition appearances or brief media engagements, have failed to recapture the intrigue that once surrounded her. Public interest has shifted from fascination with her large family to scrutiny of the fallout that followed. Without her children as a focal point for her brand, Kate has struggled to carve out a new role in the entertainment industry. Financially, she has faced mounting struggles. The once grand Pennsylvania home that served as the backdrop for her family's reality TV fame has been sold, reportedly in an effort to downsize. This move only reinforced the speculation that her financial situation was not as stable as she had once portrayed. Without a steady income from television, and with no major endorsements or business ventures to fall back on, Kate's long-term financial future remains uncertain. Her ability to sustain the lifestyle she once had is slipping away, and with it, the powerful public image she fought so hard to maintain. With no clear return to television in sight, and her name tarnished by controversy, the question remains: where does she go from here? Unlike other reality stars who have successfully reinvented themselves, Kate has found little public support to fuel a comeback. Many celebrities have managed to pivot into new careers, leveraging past notoriety into redemption arcs. But Kate's situation is different. The fractures within her own family have made it difficult for audiences to sympathize with her, and the absence of any meaningful reconciliation with her estranged children only reinforces the perception that the damage is permanent. Some public figures can rehabilitate their image, but for Kate, the road to redemption seems far less likely. Too many years have passed, and too many bridges have been burned. Without the foundation of her family, the reality TV empire she built has crumbled, and there is little left for her to rebuild. Even her previous career as a nurse could be called into question in light of the accusations from her own children. The finality of her situation is unavoidable. Her era in the public eye has reached its end. But even a more private life could be difficult. For Kate Gosselin, this may truly be the last chapter. There is no carefully crafted comeback, no grand re-entry into fame. The sentence is final, and with it comes a quiet but undeniable truth. Kate has said goodbye to fame forever. The public and media have turned against her, and even her own family has revealed a side to her that many long suspected. The verdict from the public and the media. Social media has not been kind to Kate Gosselin. Once a reality TV sensation with legions of fans who admired her ability to manage a household of 8 children, she is now the subject of ongoing criticism. The tide began to turn against her years ago, but her reputation continues to decline with each new revelation. Many believe she brought this on herself by prioritizing fame over family, making choices that ultimately alienated some of her own children. Others argue that she was simply doing her best in an impossible situation. Her divorce was extremely public, and what had once seemed like a tight family unit fell apart fast. Kate was left to raise 8 children as a single mother, all under the watchful gaze of the public. But regardless of differing opinions, one fact is clear: the media has moved on, and few outlets are still willing to support the narrative she once controlled. Kate's image has suffered from the increasing autonomy of her children, who are now able to tell their own stories. With Colin and Hannah speaking out and the remaining siblings noticeably absent from her public life, the cracks in her reality TV persona have become too visible to ignore. For years, she was able to maintain the idea that she was a strong, no-nonsense mother who made tough choices out of necessity. But as the children have grown older, the public has started to question whether those choices were truly for their benefit, or if they were simply about maintaining her own authority and media presence. At the same time, Jon Gosselin, the man who was once vilified during their high-profile divorce, has seemingly gained sympathy over the years. Once dismissed as irresponsible, Jon's role in providing a stable home for Colin and Hannah has cast him in a new light.
I don't have contacts, so and I would never put Hannah in a position to be the liaison. So if they want to reach out to me, they reach out to me.
Those who once believed Kate's version of events are now reconsidering, especially in light of Colin's allegations that he was unfairly institutionalized and abandoned. While Jon is far from universally praised, there is a growing sentiment that he may have been the lesser of two evils in the Gosselin household. The public verdict is nearly unanimous. Kate Gosselin is no longer the beloved reality TV mom she once was. Instead, she has become a figure of cautionary tale status, a stark reminder of what happens when fame and family collide. The shift in public perception has been swift and unforgiving. Where she was once defended for her strict parenting, she is now criticized for crossing the line into emotional detachment. Where she was once praised for her resilience, she is now accused of being unable to recognize her own faults. Reality TV may have made Kate Gosselin a star, but in the end, it also sealed her downfall. The world has rendered its judgment, and it seems there is no appeal. Her sentence is final. But where does that leave Kate and her family? A legacy in question. What began as a seemingly heartwarming journey of an atypical family has become a cautionary tale about the cost of reality TV fame. The woman who once commanded an audience of millions, dictating the rules of her household with unwavering authority, now finds herself increasingly isolated, both in the public eye and within her own family. Her legacy is no longer defined by Jon and Kate Plus 8, but by what came after: fractured relationships, bitter accusations, and a reputation that has crumbled under the weight of controversy. Reality television has a way of magnifying both the best and worst aspects of its stars. And for Kate, it seemed to do more harm than good. The initial appeal of her show was its relatability. Viewers saw a mother struggling with the chaos of raising multiples, and they admired her ability to stay in control. But as the seasons went on, opinions of her parenting style seemed to differ, and then almost did a full 360, with many believing she wasn't the kind and caring mother she should be. Her family's implosion was made all the more public by the very show that gave them their fame, leaving an irreversible mark on her reputation. Kate isn't the only mother to have faced the negative effects of turning family life into a spectacle. The rise of reality TV families and, more recently, YouTube and social media influencers who broadcast their children's lives for views has led to a troubling pattern. Many families who initially thrive under the spotlight eventually find themselves in turmoil. The pressure to maintain a perfect image, the financial reliance on their children's participation, and the lack of boundaries between private life and public consumption often create deep, lasting wounds. Children who grow up on camera frequently struggle with identity issues, resentment toward their parents, and a loss of normalcy that can never be reclaimed. Is this truly goodbye forever? Will Kate ever reconcile with the children who have distanced themselves from her? Could she find a way back into the public eye, reshaping her legacy? The answer remains unknown. What is certain, however, is that she no longer controls the narrative. The same audience that once eagerly watched her every move now watches in judgment, seeing the repercussions of choices made long ago. The world that once celebrated her story has now moved on, leaving Kate to face the reality of her own making. Her sentence is final, not declared by a judge, but by time, by public opinion, and by the voices of her own children. Whether she fades into obscurity or attempts one last bid for relevance, the world will be watching. The era of Kate Gosselin as America's most famous reality TV mom is over. What remains is a legacy in question, one that serves as a stark warning about the cost of putting family in the public eye. Do you think reality stars and YouTubers should be more cautious of how much of their family life they show to the world? What did you think of Kate Gosselin's parenting style? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.